Hello. Uh, Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I am back with a video, and this is what I was talking about earlier. This is like a few weeks ago that if I don't move, it's gonna get darker when it's too early. So I took a nap. This was around, I believe, 1 o'clock, and then I went to bed, and then I just want to sleep for like the afternoon nap. And I just woke up, and guess what? The entire outside is darker. Today is November 2nd. I just want to say you made it, and we have transitioned to like a new year already, because we will not be able to see the new light past 4 p.m. until the next year. I believe April is when we are March or April is when we are shifting back to daylight saving time. So I woke up at right now at I believe is 17:25, so it's supposed to be 5 o'clock. You know, it's not even 6 o'clock yet. Yeah, so 5 o'clock and it's pitch black outside. I thought that was crazy. I thought it was very night. I woke up really fast. I was like terrified, like what's happening? But it's daylight saving time, and it affects the sleeping schedule, and it's not cool. But anyways, I just immediately came to camera. I made a video because I have to make a video every single 15 minutes. Then yesterday I forgot to charge my battery, but luckily I had a battery that has 88%, so that's what I'm using right now. But if the battery takes about an hour or two to get charged, and by the time I finish charging, it will take more hours. But happy Sunday. It doesn't feel like Sunday to me. It feels like any other day. And it's just getting dark earlier. Like really, yesterday it did not get dark that much earlier, but today on the daylight saving time, it just complete turned dark, like pitch black at 4 p.m. So I have to change the schedule. I have to change what I do. I have to change how I shop. Yesterday was the last day that I went to shop earlier. I went to shop and I was in a car like around 6 p.m. and it was still earlier. Now you have to shop on time, go to the gym on time, so things are going to change. But other than that, I still need to sleep. It affects my sleeping schedule. It does affect my sleeping schedule. Two things affect my sleeping schedule. Number one is the daylight saving time, and number two is when I move to a different state. So if I move to like California, the sleeping schedule changes. When I move to Texas, sleeping schedule changes. It shows how the world is such a unique and weird place that we live in. Also, I haven't had tea since yesterday. So the last time I spoke with you guys yesterday is when I had tea. So I'm gonna have some tea right now, like usual. And other than that, I don't have anything to share right now at the moment. I'm just going to comment on things that I'm working on, and other than that, I really hope that you found this video and you know that I made it to November. If you found this video, just know that I am in a new month, and I'm starting a new chapter. So anyways, what else can I share? Other than that, it's going to be extremely dark in my house, so forgive me on that. When I came home earlier, I I said, let me um, let me make a video before I go to sleep. I was very sleepy, and then my brain was like, you don't know you don't know what to say. Just go to bed, and then you will be you wake up earlier. She will make a video. This was like 1 o'clock. This was very earlier. Jumped in bed and I couldn't get up until 5 p.m. I have a project to finish tonight. In fact, I have 2 projects to finish tonight. I have to write a code, like a programming code, and I have to do a statistical analysis on what I was sharing earlier. So a couple weeks ago I was talking about the income inequality among the nations or countries, and this is the moment. I think I'm gonna need this. I'm gonna need to use. I think I need to use this. I'm gonna show you what this does. This is like it's a light. I got this from UC Riverside. I got it as a gift. So if you don't know, UC Riverside is University of California, Riverside. It was a teaching program. I went there for, I believe it was like a teaching program, and I ended up getting a gift. So if I turn on right now, so it gives me the light, so I can be visible, and it's very bright. So it looks like this. So maybe I'm gonna need this to talk about things right now. I might need this to sort of describe, but I prefer this light. This is much better. This gives me good visibility. But anyways, I have to write a code. I have issues with Stata, because I have to download Stata and how to work on it and do something about it. But it's been a very long journey. Let me see if I can apply my Stata. So me and my team, we are working on, got my phone, working on a research paper looking at the poor countries, and earlier I looked up on the statistics to see the income for poor countries, and I felt like this is very important, because earlier I was talking about this. So I was looking at these statistics. It's called country profile, like, it's I think it's called the World Bank poverty inequality platform. It's where they measure how countries compare with other countries and how much money they earn. And what I was talking about earlier, like this week, this is Indonesia, but I'm gonna focus on the countries like in Africa, for example. So if I look up like Uganda, for example, why am I? So if I look up for like Uganda, this is Uganda, and I scroll down. In Uganda, the poverty rate is at 0.05 a day. Okay, so the average Ugandan earns 5 cents per day. and there's no statistics. It's what I was talking about this earlier. It's how these poor nations don't really have statistics. When I saw this, when I mentioned these things to people, because I do really get like a bunch of, I used to get like a bunch of disagreements from my family members, my mom, my friends, my African friends, of course, who don't go to school, or some of them come from Africa. When you tell them, like, if you live in America and you've been involved in, like, you went to school undergrad here, you get amazed by the data available. Like, you can analyze the statistics in United States, make decisions, and if you're working in a company, for example, JP Morgan, and your job is to analyze real estate data, consumer data, consumer finance, to advise the investors for a big bank, you have easy access with data, so you have a chance of jumping in and start working. You don't have to ask how to collect the data, how to do this, how to do this. Somebody's doing it. Like Federal Reserve Bank does it for you. It's free. And then you have other private companies that are doing it. I'm gonna get some tea here. That are doing that kind of work. So when I say that there's lack of data, it's not like I'm trying to be mean, especially African countries. Like, they really don't have information, and it's a huge problem. Like I showed you earlier, I'm showing a minute again. The data that was published on that platform, it was from 2019. 2019, so it hasn't changed. It has not been able. They don't release the data. I don't know if it's political reason. I don't know if they lack the resources. I don't know if people don't want to give up the information. I don't know. I just don't know. If they were rich, like Saudi Arabia, we would just assume they are rich. They don't want to share the information. We should say they have like a very deep, wealthy amount of money, but they are not rich. They don't have money. They are not like physically billionaires, like Hollywood, or like Beverly Hills, or somewhere in Florida with big mansion somewhere in the countryside. These people are poor. They are on the streets. They are trying to earn $1, not even $1, like 50 cents. Like in Uganda, if you go to Uganda, for example, you can see a lot of people pushing stuff, selling tomatoes, and that information is a key. And you can see here, as you can see here, Uganda really earns, the poverty rate is it's as 20.30%. Okay, so 20% of people in Uganda are below the poverty line. Okay, that's a lot of population, and we're talking about like the poverty rate is 0.5%. So we're talking about like 20% of people in Uganda earn less than 5 cents. Imagine you live in Arizona, right? And you don't have any like anything, and all you earn is this money. How do we survive, right? Even homeless people don't survive on this. Homeless people, they beg, they make more than this in the United States. So technically, a bunch of homeless people in the United States, they earn above the poverty rate in Uganda, and there's no, this is from 2021, but there's no data available from 2019, like not available, like there's really nothing. So and the population is like 64%. That's 2019. The growth is 2%, 0.2%. Bottom 40, and it's negative. So it's going really backwards. When it comes to the population is 50. So you have 50 million people in Uganda. Before I used to think it was 40 million, but the number has gone up. So that's just an example of when I talk about these things. Yeah, I learn more about kind of things. So we are So look at here, share of the population living in poverty at 5 cents per day from 1989 to 29, and Uganda is really just right here in the middle. So anyways, the point I was making here, and I can put up Rwanda as well. So I'm gonna put up Rwanda. I don't know why it's searching. So let me go to Rwanda and let me look for Rwanda. These two countries are fascinating me because they are both seem to be sharing the same problem. Even though they define a population, Rwanda is even more higher, 88%. Rwanda has a population. You see what I was talking about earlier? I have not checked this. I didn't check this today. But poverty rate at 7.8% a day in Rwanda, and the 88.42% per 2020. Rwanda has a recent data. This gives me chill. Like, look at Rwanda, how amazing and wonderful it is to have 88.42%, and the population poverty line is 27.47. Yes, they have more poor people than Uganda, because Uganda definitely has a lot of rich people, especially the people from India and the people who are doing businesses, especially in the Kampala region and Mara region. Those two cities produce a ton of rich people, and of course they have, they are okay, but compared, like, Rwanda has a very low population, of course, but like, they have 88%, but they have the poverty to 7%. So they have gone up, which is impressive. So the average Rwandan earns $7 per day. This is because I guess they are farmers, and the percentages are variable. Like, they really do a great job in the data. There might be dimensional poverty head count ratio like 1%. Of course, they have gone down. They are in their bottom 40 as well. They are also poor, and the population is 14 million people. It doesn't sound like that much, but the country is pretty small, and it's growing at 8.2%. That's pretty impressive. So anyways, the poverty line is from 1992, so the country has been actually great. So this is something I should have been sharing on the internet, talking to people, but I don't have time for that. These countries, they tend to be in denial, which is a big problem. Like, I see people from Africa on the internet denying, "Oh, we're not poor, we are rich, we don't live in slums." Like that's okay. Like, there are people in Africa doing great, okay. But the fact remains, we need to put people out of poverty, and not just in Africa. Even in the United States, people are extremely poor. Somebody earning $10 may seem like is richer, but in a dollar terms, they are poor here, and we need to do something about it, right? But when we raise poor countries out of poverty, we benefit. America benefits. We don't have to send money to those poor countries. When somebody moves here and works, like if you get an African and a French person, and both two groups move to the United States with zero money, a French person has a high chance of succeeding compared to somebody from Africa. Why? Because an African works, spread their paycheck to someone else in another country. They also have to catch up with education, catch up with the culture, catch up with everything, and that takes I came here for 9 years. It took me 9 years to catch up. Somebody from France, when they come here, everything looks familiar. They just have to change the language, the sort of to speak, and then everything else they catch up. They don't have to send money to their families. They don't have to split their paycheck. That pushes their income much higher. It pushes it pushes them ahead of somebody else. So when somebody says we need to improve African continent, it is true. Like, it's very unproductive and it's very poor. And when it goes up, United States can focus on its own citizens. It can focus on people who are already here, because the U.S. sends so much money overseas, like a lot of money. Talking about wars in Ukraine, wars in Israel, but those countries they're already doing great, right? They just have issues and conflicts. Africa, for instance, it's not just about war, because they do have wars as well over there, like Congo, for example. But it's also about helping people who are running from the war, people who are being displaced. These people are already poor, and when they get displaced, they have a hard time getting food. They have a hard time. They experience domestic violence. They experience disease. So they need even more help. So you have to send more doctors. You have to send more. They spend more money in logistics. Like that costs so much money. And then you have issues happening in other countries. For example, you have things that cannot be controlled. Like you have, for example, Caribbean countries experiencing extreme weather, right? And if Africa was richer, it could be sending some help. It could be sending some humanitarian aid. With more contribution, nations don't have to feel obligated to spend all their resources in one area and then transfer the resources back and forth. But what we see here in right now is that rich nations, they have to spread themselves. They have to. Then people have to advocate. Like, can we spend money in this space? Spend on this space. I should be here advocating for USAID. Like, can we spend money in USAID? Can we help people with HIV? Can we help people with this and this, right? Because it's a problem, right? And these nations need help. They need those things that I mentioned earlier in my other video. They need agriculture assistance. They need to make sure that we can provide agricultural products. But a lot of these countries, they have conflicts, so it's hard to grow agriculture. The land disputes. They have issues with the land, and even the land they have is not productive. So they are sitting on a bunch of assets that don't produce as much, and then they struggle, then they suffer, and so people in other countries pay the consequences of not fixing that problem. Then of course we have other things like education. Not providing education to the farmers, or giving these folks some giving these folks some money, giving them some kind of knowledge to pull them out of poverty. I need to make a video. I need to make sure that you can see my expression here. I think it will help. So give them some initial fundings, or give them some initial education. So if somebody is a farmer already and that person is performing well, give them some money and then pull them out of poverty. Let them have education. Let them understand the soil, the type of the soil, the things that young children learn in school needs to be taught to other people as well who are farmers, so that they have the knowledge. Because when younger people go to school, they want to work in like high-paying jobs, the office, But people who are farmers, they already use that lifestyle. By giving them support, it helps them improve where they are already. So, anyways, when I say these things, is because I'm passionate about them, and I think they are big problems and that needs to be resolved. So here you have an example, and Rwanda is the thing. I mentioned this. Like, I have not seen the statistics. Like, I didn't look up this one. Like, cause I don't look up statistics. But I know that Rwanda is doing an amazing job in recognizing everybody. After 1994, I think the country has invested so much in trying to know their people, and I think that's impressive. And they are transparent. If they were not transparent, they wouldn't be these wouldn't be on internet, right? Rwandans have been involved. Like I said, they give people in Rwanda, they give them certificates. So if you are a butcher, if you cut meat, if you are a restaurant server, if you sell on the streets, if you are a bartender in Rwanda, they certify you to make you legitimate, to make you have credibility, and that becomes a professional. You may not get a job, but whenever an opportunity whenever an investor comes in to invest in a country, then the the government, the staffing agents can just say, there is somebody called James. He studied culinary art, has a degree, has a certificate, and give him a job. So people are ready to jump in, start working, no need to train them. And that's a key. That's something that Rwanda is focused on. And guess what else Rwanda does? When you have a population like this, it's easier to sort of give them, when you give them these certificates, it's also easier to collect taxes, because you can see what they are, what they do, what they perform, and when they pay taxes in return, you can build infrastructure. Rwanda has the best infrastructure. The country is extremely clean. People participate in cleaning the country, which saves money. The country has 88% debt, which from what I've seen the last time, so that's a lot of debt to pay back. But they have infrastructure. They have a lot of starting points. They have the country looks like they have higher population, much more harder than Uganda. But if they keep the momentum at 8% growth, GDP growth, I know for the next 3 generations, Rwanda will be doing amazing. Trust me. And at least they have like political conflict. But other than that, the country is doing really great, like fantastic. So that's what I was describing earlier. My GoPro is about to go darker, so I'm gonna go get a new battery, because I had 88% earlier. I need to make sure I can increase that. But the key point I was making here is that these poor nations, they deserve to be recognized. They deserve to be understood. They deserve to be kept in mind. And we need to inform the World Bank. I don't know what's on my face. The World Bank, the private industries, to start allocating funds, to start allocating money. Then we need to deploy technology. We need to ensure that these countries, the last thing we can do after fixing the food production, after fixing education issues, after fixing many other things that need to be fixed, then we can focus on institutions. Institutions are the key. But I'm gonna get a new battery, and I'm gonna talk about institution, then we should be able to get in touch in a minute. See you in a second. Alright, I'm back. I think earlier I had 27 minutes, so I'm gonna record another few minutes. I believe I need like 50 minutes to explain these things. So 27 minus 50, like another 23 minutes. So I was saying earlier is that there's poor nations, and I'm not saying poor in the sense that they are extreme. Again, I don't want people to confuse this, because I know the Western world, they use the word poor to like make derogatory terms. But once you get out of poverty, like nobody makes fun of China anymore, right? People used to make fun of China. Like they used to see China as a country that makes fake stuff, fake radios, fake TV, fake everything, right? Now China has been producing like massive good stuff, and that's just an example. When countries like this are pushed, when people make fun of these countries, they develop. When we treat them as kids, like, oh, they are so nice, let's give them some aid, let's give them some support, let's empower some women, let's empower some minority, right? When we do those things, these countries, they don't really put in the effort. China developed because people made fun of them. They made fun of them, how terrible they are, how bad they are. They are just making fun. Like when I grew up in Africa, there used to be a joke that Chinese, whenever they would give birth, they would have to dress like a necklace to remember their family, because they would marry each other, because there are so many people, they are overproducing a lot of people. They were overpopulated, right? So that joke made Chinese to make a decision to stop giving birth. And that's just an example of how nations are pushed, when the nations are given the responsibility of developing themselves, they develop. And this is where I'm talking about the idea of this is where the idea of institutions comes in. Institutions need to be pushed. They need to be pushed, not in the sense of like getting them out of our agrees with the idea of repressing leadership over time. It doesn't really help. You cannot just for example, Obama might be a good president in the United States, but he can be a good president in a country like Cameroon. He can't be a good president in a country like Burundi, because A, they don't have the same interact, and two, he may have gone to a different institution, a different university. They don't understand their people in that area. So we need to empower the leadership first in that area, educate them, tell them how they need to have passion, but also tell them that changes is a key, and institutions, they need to be able to adapt to new changes. Many African countries, I wrote an article on this, they are extremely low key. I literally saw a roach here. There is a roach in my damn it. There was a roach in my damn, I didn't know that. I need to kill that thing. I need to spray. First time I'm seeing the roach. Roaches in the what is it? Pre-cooked thing. It really came out running. So it has been hiding in here for a long time. Cause I haven't used that thing for a long time. My families, they will know around my around the road, will know I'm to use this. But now I'm using it. And then I was cooking, the roach came out running. Like first time seeing a roach in this house. So I need to spray really fast. I don't like roaches. But anyways, the point I was making earlier is that this Poor Nation institution is, I'm not saying they should be blamed, but they need to be held accountable. Institutions, they're supposed to be able to adapt to new technology, adapt to new ideas, accept to be challenged, accept to be criticized, and then accept to be helped, accept to be able to produce, to be able to embrace the idea of faster, quicker, efficient. And these poor countries, they take so long to adapt, like very long time to adapt. Like if you introduce an AI in so many countries, if you build like a new application in these poor countries, and you try to help these individuals, you will still have to like educate them. Like in the United States, when the ChatGPT came out, people didn't have to spend time, like questioning how do I download ChatGPT, then how do I type it. Like they knew how to get an account, they knew how to do those things. Those are basic things. Like they knew how to do those things. So then they learned. Now there's a new courses teaching ChatGPT on a high level, like how to prompt for a resume, how to use it to do videos like this, how to use it to make and to post the news article. That's like high level stuff. So people can catch up quicker. But even that, like when you think about ChatGPT, for example, when I'm using it on my phone, there are other things that I don't have to think about it. Electricity is one of them. Internet is another thing. And these things have been fixed by institutions. This is not because the energy company PG&E, I don't know which company they use, but PG&E is like a popular one in California, then Duke is like a popular in North Carolina. These companies, they didn't come up one day in the morning gonna be like, oh, let's provide electricity to people. They had to be subsidized by government. Government has to step in, fund the land, fund the investments. Like even today, the U.S. President Donald Trump is like, whenever he speaks, energy is always the number one goal. You say we need more energy, we need more, like it's mentioned a million times. We don't see that in African countries. They don't really talk about energy that much. They don't talk about how they need to increase electricity, how to they talk about it just to get votes. Like in Uganda, there is a joke that the president, when the leader is running for the seat, for the election, they will say, "I'm gonna bring electricity in the village," right? And they will bring poles. They will bring engineers to test, to measure. People will be like, "Oh my God, that's so good! Like we're getting electricity finally." And then after they will do that like a few months before the election. Maybe people will vote the president, and then after the president wins, then they will abandon the project, then disappear. Then the next 7 years, they're gonna come back, and president is gonna come back and say, "Oh, I'm gonna give you now even more electricity. I'm gonna give you electricity, guys. I'm gonna resume the project. There was a problem somewhere, something happened, we didn't get it done, but now if you vote for me again, I'm gonna get it done." Then people will be like, "Okay, fine." Then in a few months, they're gonna bring in poles. They're gonna build the poles. Then they disappear again. Then come back again in the next election. Now build the electricity. Then disappear again. Even that electricity is gonna be built. It's not gonna provide electricity until the next election. Little do you know, it's been now it's like 20 years, 25 years. There's no electricity. So that's like an idea of poor quality institutions. They are not consistent, and they don't produce faster, quicker, more efficient. Okay, so the battery is about to die, and I just want to say that I'm gonna pause from here, and this is what I have to. That's what I could share. I always want to advocate for these countries, as you saw in the statistics I showed you earlier. Poor nations, they need our investments. Like in Uganda, for example, Rwanda is doing better, but Uganda need to catch up. When these two countries catch up, I think it's going to be like a prophecy. So every country is going to do the same thing, because now these countries are united. There is East African United, combined, and it's going to sort of like, how can I say this, like spread across East Africa. So, but for now, I'm focusing on two countries, Uganda and Rwanda. Uganda has 40 million people, a very small number. It's like a New York City population, so it's easy to analyze, and they have the data available, which is amazing. Then you have Uganda, which have no data available. So when you look at those two countries, you really like make easy decisions. You easily understand the bigger, the smaller, and compare and see which one needs more investments. But talk about, I want to end this video with saying that quality institution is the key. Rwanda has been doing a great job in the sense that they have high quality. If you want to start a business in Rwanda, they approve you like next day. They have processes. They have younger people ready to jump in, ready, eager to work. They're like Chinese. They're like ready. They have the eagerness. In Uganda, there's lagging. There's slowness. There's slow pace. I think they call this slow progress, which is not good when it comes to developing. But that's all for today. Other than that, thanks for watching. I am gonna be able to sleep tonight, I guess, and I'll see you next video tomorrow. Bye bye. Ciao ciao.